Hey up everybody, my name is Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Mozzle's Lessons in Confidence. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about thought processes and how different people have different thought processes, and how if you can figure out what your thought process is, you can kind of harness that to your advantage. So I'll start off by telling you what my thought process is, how my brain likes to think, and you can see if that's how yours thinks, or maybe you think in a different way. Because I know there's two main modes of thought. There's the mode of thought where you think a sentence and then you say the sentence, and so you think in kind of words, like there's a little voice that tells you what your thoughts are. And then there's the type of thought where you think more in abstractions and you think in ideas and concepts, but you don't necessarily put them down in words. And some people do a bit of both. I'm much more of I think in sentences. So the way I think of it is, there's the me that does the thinking, and then there's the me that responds to those thoughts. So like, say I'm thinking I need to go to the shop and get some food and get this, this, and this, right? So my thinking part of the brain will tell me, right, Josh, you need to go to Lidl and get this, this, and this. And then I would basically respond to that and go, okay, I'm gonna get ready. And so then I, put my coat on, put my jumper on, whatever, and I make sure I've got my wallet, that kind of thing. And that stuff is all like, I'm not thinking, okay, get the wallet, get this, but I might say it out loud to myself, just like, here's the wallet, okay, got it, got that, okay, got my keys, okay, right. But I wouldn't think like putting the jumper on, okay, I need to put jumper on, right? So different things are just like automatic like that. And some things you kind of just go, right, I've said it to myself in order to sort of enforce it in my brain, right? And if you've got more complicated sort of ideas, like say I'm trying to figure out a larger kind of thing that requires some different points of view and that kind of thing, my brain might make up little, not characters, but like extra voices to sort of help it along the way. So I've got the main voice that is like the thing that talks to me. And then say if I'm trying to work out something to do with the channel, I might have like the me that's trying to think that sort of like creative sort of stuff, and then I might have more the business sort of side of things, and those two kind of have a little dialogue. So I'm thinking, right, I need to do this and then go out and do these videos, and then when I get back I'm going to sort this out, and then my brain the other side of my brain is going, okay, what are the videos about? And then that side of my brain is going, okay, well I need to get 3 videos sort of done in this session, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and ask this guy, so what kind of stuff are you thinking about, what's kind of coming to mind? And it might say like, I want to do one on music, I want to do one on film, and I want to do one on like general motivation, right? And it will sort of come up with like ideas on what ways to tackle that, and what ways to actually, engage with those ideas, and so on and so forth. And then, if it's a really big topic, or say if I'm like not, because I'm not always the happiest person in the universe. If I'm, say, quite unhappy, I can almost be like a courtroom of different things where I'm trying to figure out an idea and I'm debating with myself, and different voices do the different points of view. And now I'm sounding like a bit of a mental case, I know, but everyone I think thinks in various different ways, and some people might do the voices in the head sort of thing, which for me isn't like a negative thing at all. It's actually quite helpful, because it's sort of, right, okay, so this, and at the end of the day I might lay down, I sort of reminisce on the day, what went right, what went wrong, what am I going to do tomorrow, how am I going to improve on what I did today, how can I fix my schedule, how can I do this, and so on and so forth. And the part of the brain that actually reciprocates the information that my brain is giving to myself via exposure to the wider world is kind of saying, right, you've done this wrong, but you did this right, so try and do a bit more of this tomorrow and a bit less of that, okay? And then I'll kind of go, okay, yeah, that kind of makes sense, and then I'll try and think of this and that kind of thing. Or say if I'm trying to figure out a tech, like I need to text someone something, right? I might think, okay, right, I will be there at about 6 o'clock. And then that brain part that I'm talking about that talks to me kind of goes, right, am I actually going to get there at 6, or do you think maybe I should say 6:30, because I need to get the bus there, and then if there's a delay on that bus, that might mean that I get delayed by a little bit and I might miss that bus, and then because I know that route's a little bit like dodgy, and the traffic can get quite a big there around like 5:30 sort of thing. So maybe I should sort of say 6:30, and then the other side of my brain will go, oh, well, okay, well let's try and figure out, can we leave earlier? What do we need to do before we leave? What do we need to do before we leave? And I'll kind of think, right, well I need to have some food, I need to export a couple of videos, I need to do this and that, and I need to have a little bit of a clean around, because I don't want to come back to a messy sort of house, that kind of thing. And it will go, okay, let's tell him 6:30. Yeah, okay, let's tell him 6:30. And that's been a little collaboration between my brain doing the logistics and my brain that sort of is responding to those logistics. Say if you've got say if you're having a really bad day and your brain's kind of working against you, and your brain's kind of going, oh, you're a little bit shit, you know, you really fucked that. You really shouldn't have said that. That was a really stupid. And I'll kind of go, yeah, I know. Yeah, I shouldn't have done that. I know it was pretty bad. And then that part of the brain will go, well, look, man. And then I'll try and actively think something positive. If my brain is getting too negative, I actively try and think something positive. So it'll be like, okay, well, look. You know, it's good that you had this little negative interaction that was a little bit awkward, because it makes for maybe a funny story, or maybe it will teach you how to go about this kind of conversation in the future, or whatever, you know. And that is quite useful, having those different perspectives, because I can tap into different perspectives as and when I need. So, for instance, say if like I'm thinking something and in my head I'm constructing the sentence, right? I might be thinking, today was really... And then my brain might activate like the word stressful, right? Which means maybe subconsciously I feel stressed. So as I'm thinking the sentence, my subconscious, the part that usually responds to things, has said stressful. I don't want to sit there and think to myself, today was a really stressful day, because that will actualize the stress, that will make it feel more stressful than it maybe actually was. So maybe I'll replace that word with hard or challenging or productive or something that's kind of gives a bit more of a positive kind of thing, so that I can just put this thought, this negative thought or whatever it is, to rest and bury it under some positivity, because you're a bubbling sea of negativity, and all you can do is just sail the seas of positivity and try and not drown in all the negativity and get eaten by the negative octopus. Or whatever it is, or however it is you want to think about that. I don't think about it like that. I think about it in different ways, and the way that I think about it evolves. And sometimes I used to try and make little processes and ways of thinking about it for the long term. And I realize that doesn't work, because if I'm having to force that means that it's not really what I intrinsically want to do. So that's why I do this now, is that if I immediately think a negative word, I try and replace it with positive words, just so that my brain activates more positive energy. And the more positive energy I can activate, I think the nicer a person I am to be around, and the nicer I am to talk to, and that kind of thing. And I think, because, you don't want to be stuck with a Debbie Downer down the pub and they're just talking about miserable shit all day. And it's just like, what good does engaging with all this negativity do? Because yeah, the negative stuff is real, the negative things are there, and you should, be conscious of that fact, and you should be open with yourself with the fact that you have this negative thing, but don't dwell in the negativity. Don't sit there and just bathe in this negativity, because it's not necessary. And it's like bathing in fucking mud, maybe sure it feels nice for a little bit if it's warm mud, but you're going to get out of that mud eventually, and you're going to be all muddy, and you're going to need to have a shower anyway. And the shower in this sense is positivity. So say you're stressed at work, say you're going to work every day, 6 days a week, and you're working 60-hour weeks, and it's you're trying to provide for your family, and it's you're behind on your rent and your bills, and everything's sort of getting on top of you, right? It's very easy to kind of stress and catastrophize about that stuff. And you should obviously worry about these things, because they are things that need to be worried about, because you don't want your fucking family to go without, because you're a good person. So what you kind of do is just try and engage as much of the positivity as you can, because some of the negativity is real and needs to be considered, but some of it isn't, and some of it is just because you're already in the negative headspace, so you're putting more negativity in there because you're already in this negative headspace. So it's very easy to just allow the negativity to fester and linger, when certain things don't need to have that negative response. So that's why people end up taking out their frustrations on their friends and their family, and that's not fair on them. And you need to have outlets. You need to have ways of getting your anger out and getting your frustrations out in the world. That's why I like going to the gym. I like to run on the treadmill and just almost just and when I first started going to the gym, I was very, very kind of down, and I used it as a way of getting my anger out, just doing the boxing thing, punching the whatever it is, the boxing bag, right? And you kind of punch that, and that kind of really helps you to sort of figure out oh God, yeah. And then you come out of it and you feel so much more relieved and so much happier as a result. And you ever walk around and you're just God, I'm really depressed, or maybe the opposite is, God, I feel so good right now, And it's good to, when you hear that little voice or when you feel that emotion, be honest with yourself about why and try and deconstruct what's causing you to feel this way, whether it's positive or negative, because it's important to know why you feel the feelings that you do, because your feelings are always valid no matter what they are. Even if it's like a very negative feeling, it is valid in the sense that you are feeling it, which means you need to do something about it, whether it's positive or negative. If it's positive, it means that you need to like sit inside this positivity and embrace this positivity and live this positivity. And if it's negative stuff, you need to figure out what's causing negativity. Why do I feel like this? Is there some kind of life external circumstance that I could maybe resolve? Or is it an internal depression that I need to wrestle with my brain to sort of figure out? Because your brain isn't always going to be on your side. Sometimes your brain works against you. Sometimes, you know, you ever walk into a room and forget why you're in there, or you know, you're lying in bed and you're like, I don't want to get up, but you know you need to. And all these kind of different things is your brain working against you, and you can't force your brain to work with you. All you can do is encourage it, and all you can do is just try and allow your brain to feel like it's in a safe space within your own mental capacity, where you can feel the feelings that you need and not judge yourself, and just go through life trying to be as unjudgmental as possible, because judgment is a negative thing, and it's festering in that pit of mud, and you want to avoid that, and you want to try and think happiness and think happy stuff. And if you can do that, then you're doing something right. And if you might not know what you're doing right, but it's up to you to try and figure it out, because it'll be unique to you. And if you're feeling something negative, then you need to figure that out as well, because it'll be unique to you. And no amount of YouTube videos telling you what to do or what routine to take on is going to fix it, because it's up to you and your brain and your heart to all work together like the numbskulls to try and figure themselves out and figure out what to do. So yeah, I think that's going to be the video. Thank you so much for watching this one. Let me know in the comments how you think in your conscious mind. Do you think in abstractions? Do you think in images? Do you think in that kind of thing? Because I don't really think in images. I can't because apparently some people think an image and they can see the image almost like in their mind, which I can't relate to that. Like if I'm gonna sit and think about Milan, I can't, no pictures are coming to mind. I know what Milan looks like, obviously, because I've been there, and I know what the streets look like, and I know what it all looked like, but I'm trying to think of it, and I can't actually image it, picture it in my mind, right? But I do know what it looked like, and I could recall it, and I could describe it to you. I could describe the tall buildings and the metro thing with the big shiny M, and the way that in the supermarkets they had all sorts of different, they had a lot of fish aisles in their supermarkets, and just dumb little stuff like that, or how the side streets have a lot more tall buildings with these kind of big overhang sort of things. I'm very bad at describing this sort of stuff, but I know what I'm talking about, and I know the image that is coming to mind, right? And it's the same with your brain. It might work in a different way. Your brain might do something totally different from mine, and that's good, because that shows the variety of humanity, that we can all come in so many different shapes and sizes, and we can all think in so many different ways. Because if there's only one way of thinking, then every philosopher would just agree with one another, and if that was the case, the world would be fucking boring, because there's questions to answer, and questions being answered is, you know, a lot of fun. Maybe it's not the point of life, but it's a brilliant little waste of time. So yeah, let me know how you think. What's your conscious thought process? Do you think in sentences? How do you think the sentences? Do you have multiple voices? Do you have one? Do you respond to yourself and have little conversations with yourself? Do you talk out loud maybe to help your thoughts actualize a little bit more? All kinds of things like that. There's so many different ways, and I'd love to hear from you about how you think. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a good rest of the day, and take care, everybody. Bye-bye.